So I like the Kevin Patullo hire more than I don't like the hire. It comes with some risks, but it comes with some positives as well. And I like the idea of pretty much announcing, this is our guy. I don't need to interview anybody else. I don't need to see what's out there. I know what we got to do. We got to promote Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni's right-hand man, and we got to give him the nod to be our next offensive coordinator. It doesn't matter to me who else we could have maybe interviewed. It doesn't matter about what else is potentially available. He's our guy. It sets a tone. And from that perspective, I think that is extremely important, knowing that this team has a goal. We're getting another one. We're in attack mode. So let's make sure we establish some continuity, because Kevin Patullo has been here for quite some time. He's been around. He knows what it's like in the NovaCare complex. He understands Nick Sirianni's culture. He has seen Jalen Hurts for multiple seasons now. So in a world where our quarterback has been through a billion different play callers and so many new offenses, you got some form of continuity. And look, when you become a gold standard in the NFL, which the Eagles have done that, credit to Howie and Jeffrey Lurie, you're going to get poached. So if you are going to build sustained success, you need to be able to take these hits and look right down the line of coaches internally and be able to promote. That's how you build a winning organization for a long time, because when you win, teams come knocking. When you hoist the Lombardi, your offensive coordinator is most likely going to go. And oh, by the way, they may snag some with them. And it's very hard to just look around the league, interview a billion people, and just fill those holes with the snap of your fingers. The easiest way to do it is to build winning, not just with your roster. They say next man up all the time in this sport. Same applies to your coaching staff. So this is how you have to build things if you want to really, truly gain an advantage when you think about winning and turning over your staff and, replacing guys that leave when you consistently win and when you are a strong contender in the NFC. Because that's where other organizations like to pick from. So you got to be prepared. And Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, right from the rip, established who their guy was, wasn't playing around, and a major box has been checked moving forward. These are some of the positives. They lost time during the offseason because of how much winning they did. Then they partied through Broad Street. Other teams were able to interview who they wanted to. They were able to hire some of their coaching staff. They were able to take a look at what was available while you were still kicking ass and fighting for the Super Bowl. So you had a major box to check, and they did that. And that's important. Not that the speed of the hire is more important than the actual execution of the hire, because that's not the case. But it is a big deal to be able to move forward now with your offseason plans, knowing that that hole has been filled. Because if it wasn't yet, and you were worried about scouting, you were worried about the draft, you were worried about all these other details, but hey, we don't know who the offensive coordinator under Nick Sirianni is going to be yet, it just adds pressure, it adds noise, it adds talking points, and you somewhat snip that. With the guy you truly believe in, which is the most important part. Once again, I want to highlight that this isn't about the speed of it. More so, it's about, getting it done with a reasonable time frame, but also having the one that you think is actually going to push this team forward. And I think it was both. I think they liked how quickly they did it, but they also knew that Kevin Patullo was sort of being, I don't want to say groomed for this job, But I think he was prepared to eventually snag that job whenever it opened up again. This was an organizational philosophy that when Kevin Patullo is ready, that spot is going to be his because he is Nick Sirianni's guy. So it seemed inevitable. And here's the moment, coming off of a Super Bowl, and I like the message it sends that it's him. So I'm curious out there, do you like the Kevin Patullo hire? 215-592-9494. I want you to take a listen to Nick Sirianni explaining the importance of Kevin Patullo. This was during the Super Bowl week, and this is what he had to say.
Kevin Patullo is a guy that we don't hear from often or really isn't talked about a lot because he doesn't have a coordinator title. But how important has he been to your success this year? Can you just talk about the relationship you two have, having been together for so long?
Yeah, very important to the success that we've had. He wears a lot of different hats. Helps me a lot with different things, with head coaching things. I can't tell you that I make a decision without saying to Kevin first, what do you think? That's in everything. That's in game. That's out of game. That's with scheduling. That's with offensive stuff. That's with game management stuff. And you lean on him a lot, and then him and Kellen. I mean, they're together at all times. Talking through the offensive stuff, and he's kind of that same sounding board for Kellen on the offensive side. This is what. How many years? 8 years with Kevin. That continuity is really important because he knows what I'm thinking in certain situations, how you want things to be taught, all those different things. So he's just been a great resource, for me the entire time, our success this year, but really our success that we've had since we've been here. Can't be great without the greatness of others, and that completely is definitely a fact with Kevin Patullo, and I trust him with everything. Got a ton of trust and faith with him. He's awesome.
All right, so two things off of that. One, I think Kevin Patullo is so close with Nick that if there needs to be conversations had, I don't think he's just going to yes man Nick Sirianni. Because quite frankly, he probably even hasn't done that as pass game coordinator and as associate head coach. I think if Nick needs to hear something, Kevin Patullo is close enough to say, yo, dude, listen up. This is how it needs to be. Or this is what I see. Or this is how I feel we should do it. I don't think he'd hold back because he's afraid of stepping on the toes of the head coach. I think Nick is aware that, listen, I need Kevin Patullo sometimes, and if I'm not seeing something that he sees, then he's not afraid to let me know, and he's willing to talk into my ear and this and that, and I like that. Also, what is Nick Sirianni's big thing? It's togetherness, it's relationships, it's brotherhood, it's family. Kevin Patullo is family to Nick Sirianni. It's that type of connection. So it defines what Nick Sirianni sells. And look, in professional sports, sometimes things can get stale quickly, whether it's selling the same message year after year, the core values. It works for a little bit, then sometimes it kind of loses its pop, and then you need something to sort of recalibrate it. And what I feel can absolutely benefit the head coach and what he's trying to sell his team is you bring in, not bring in, he's been here, but you obviously choose to give Kevin Patullo this monster role. This was the sexiest job available in the National Football League, and you give it to someone who is as close as this to Nick Sirianni. It helps define the culture more that Nick Sirianni tries to set. And due to the speed of the hiring, I don't think this is something where Nick Sirianni wanted it, Howie Roseman didn't. There was controversy on how they should elect to do this, blah, 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 blah. No. What this does, it sets a tone. They are both on board. The Jalen Hurts angle, we'll get more into that because I have a conspiracy theory that actually spins what he said about Kevin Patullo during the locker cleanout day. It spins it positive, but we'll get more into that. We'll play the audio because I know there's some speculation that maybe Jalen Hurts doesn't necessarily fully go all the way in on the Kevin Patullo hire, but that's for a little bit later on in the program. Let's go to the phones at 215-592-9494. I want to know if you like the Kevin Patullo hire. We obviously don't have any track record to go off of, so he hasn't done it before. It's not anything that we can go back to the tape and go back to the record to see how he did at previous stops. So it's really about, do you like the process that they utilized? Do you like their ideas that they went with when trying to acquire the best offensive coordinator that they possibly can? I think there's a lot of positives here, and we'll get to the risks as well, but I do like it more than I don't like it as we talk about the new addition. To the phones we go. Let's go to Muhammad in New York. Yo, Muhammad.
I was surprised that you were surprised that it was quick, but, I mean, like, it has to be quick. I mean, we're talking about between the parade week and the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl and the entire playoff. I mean, we got to do some catching up, and we got to do it pretty quickly. So for me, with the familiarity that is already there with Nick Sirianni, I like the move. You know what I mean? I need to get this done, taken care of. I think we don't know most of the people that are hired at the OC or defensive coordinator position because they're usually line coaches, they're usually quarterback coaches. So I think this is normal. I feel like we're kind of a little bit. I guess I get it that he's gonna call the plays, but I think we're like giving it a little bit more than we should because, like I said, it's timely. It's a good timely hire, and I like it. I really do like it.
Yeah, I like it more than I don't. And you know what? I think it's an interesting perspective, Muhammad, when you look at it this way. If the Eagles didn't win the Super Bowl, which is funny because they did, but if they didn't, and they were looking for a new offensive coordinator somehow, and they went out and poached a coach from the Super Bowl winning team, and, you know, he wasn't in-house, and you went out and let's say the Chiefs won, and then their offensive coordinator became a head coach, and then now their passing game coordinator became your offensive coordinator. You would like to hire because you're going to a winning organization and taking part of their offensive coaching staff, and you'd like it. It's just the fact that this team won already, and he's in-house that skews people's mindset. But the same hire with the same role in a different organization, you may have a different perspective on it. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. Exactly. So we're hiring from a Super Bowl champion organization. So
right.
It's a no-brainer for me. I mean, like I said, we need to do a lot of catching up. It's been a pleasantly long season for good reasons. Obviously, we're champions. So perfectly good timing for me. We need to get these wheels on the road and start having some traction, you know, and start going into the draft. The combine is like, a couple weeks away. I mean, yeah, it's perfect timing. I like I said, I like it because of the timing. I like it because there's a good familiarity there, and these guys know each other. I like the fact that Nick said that he can tell him when he smells like, when he smells bad. Well, that's good, you know. So I love it.
All right, cool. Muhammad, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you checking in. And look, if you're not a fan of it, which I do know it's been split, maybe split's unfair, maybe more people skew negative. I don't know. I've heard probably more negative than positive. Talk to me. I would like to know what you are nervous about, because I do have a list sitting in front of me of things that I'm not necessarily fond of with this hire. And we'll talk about that as well. Like, he's never called plays. And if he has been here already for so long, does he have anything new to actually add? Because I do want to see more in the offense. I need to see more in the passing game than what we got in the regular season, because you can't survive scoring 0 points in the first quarter and 3 and outs consistently, and I need to see something pick up. But if Kevin Patullo has been here for X amount of years with Nick Sirianni, and he's already shared a lot of his input, and that's what made Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni enjoy him, does he have more to give, or did he give everything already? Is there more that he's holding on to in case he ever did get the nod to be offensive coordinator coordinator to show his worth even more? Does he have a bag of tricks? Or did he already give Nick Sirianni everything that he provides, and now he's just a body? But he's been here for so long that we've already utilized his skill set. Does that make sense? That's a fear that I have personally when looking at the risks. So I got risks. Okay, I don't want to make it seem like I'm just here waving pom-poms and it's all beautiful and they can do no wrong. It could possibly go wrong. All right, there are some things that make me wonder. But I do like a lot of what he brings too. It's a weird one because you don't really have any base. You don't really have any foundation. There's no previous stop in the National Football League that you can go to and say, oh, yeah, remember when Kevin Patullo won 10 games, 11 games, 12 games when he was in Seattle or when he was with Cincinnati or when he was with whoever? You don't really have that. So it's a strange one. It's more about the process than anything else. But, listen, he's got to be able to do the job. It's a big deal. And the last 2 times they went in-house, here's another risk. The last 2 times they went in-house, it failed. But here's a positive. They always bounce back and recover. So if they do have a slip-up, but I don't want to give them a free pass to have a slip-up, because that's unacceptable. We're going to be bouncing all over the place today. Let's go to Harold in Seattle. Yo, Harold.
All right, man. I want to thank you in advance for having a great show.
Thank you.
Hey, look, there is one damn thing I don't like about this.
What's that?
One damn thing. They should have done it earlier because they need to get their ass working on those picks for the draft. I think it's a great pick, and I repeat, not I'm thinking it's going to work. I know for damn sure this pick is going to work, and they're going to be in the damn Super Bowl next year. They better be. But they need to start working on those draft picks because this draft session is very important, and it will determine our team for the next few years. And it's nice to listen to your show, and I'm going to listen to the rest of it. Bye.
Well, thank you, Harold. Listen, Howie doesn't sleep, okay? Howie knows what he's doing. Howie's ready, and Howie is prepared for the draft. Don't you worry about it at all, Harold. He'll be fine. But it does scream to me, with the timing of this hire, that they knew this was going to happen whenever the Super Bowl week started to happen, and you saw that Kellen Moore was getting interviews, and he was most likely going to New Orleans, and you knew that he was probably going to take your quarterback's coach and Doug Nussmeier. So when that all started to go down, I think it was pretty clear that they were looking at Kevin Patullo to take that jump, to make that leap, and just like they understood Kellen Moore was leaving, they knew Kevin Patullo was going to be the next man. The moment Kellen Moore was gone was the moment Patullo was in. So they announced it today, but I think this has been in the works for quite some time. Let's go to Tom in Alabama. What's going on, Tom?
Yo, Brody, how you doing, my brother?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Yeah, I feel good about it. I mean, I feel, like you said, better good than I do bad because he's been there since Hurts has been a starter, from what I'm going to understand. So it's not like he doesn't know him. And the only thing is, like you said, I mean, the last 2 times, you go from a quarterback's coach, which Johnson was, to offensive coordinator. It's so fast, I mean, getting that next play in, and it's just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, So, you're either going to sink or swim,
Yeah, I understand that. Here's something that I've been thinking about, though, Tom, and I know it makes everybody a little queasy thinking of Nick Sirianni being more active with game day stuff on the sidelines or whatever, more a part of the offense, but maybe when Nick had charge previously, I don't know if he was as mature as he is now. So is it possible that Nick Sirianni has grown over the years where he can actually take more accountability with some of the offense now that he's been a head coach longer, he won a Super Bowl, and if Kevin Patullo needs some assistance, we can actually rely on Nick Sirianni because he has grown up so much as a coach. He knows how to be on the sidelines, how to maintain everything throughout the week, how to absorb all the information throughout the game. And you know what? If Kevin Patullo does need a little extra help because he is so new at this, we actually have a head coach to lean on instead of keeping him in his own little shell because we're afraid. I don't know. Maybe there's something with that.
Right, and they know each other too. I mean, they go back a ways. He's one of his people, so that makes a big difference too. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, and this is just every opinions are opinions, but I like Kellen Moore, but I think he wasn't as great as what a lot of people have made him out to be, in my opinion. Now, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. We'll see. But that offense, I mean, we won the Super Bowl and everything, but there were a lot of weeks where it was kind of stale, so to speak, in my opinion.
I would say, and Tom, thank you so much for the call. I would say Kellen Moore brings a sound, stable NFL offense. Did it wow me to death? No, absolutely not. Was it structured? Yes. I think he is, and I don't know how it's going to work in New Orleans. And quite frankly, I think the organization is set up to fail. So if it doesn't work there, I don't know if it's necessarily, hey, Kellen Moore, you're bad at your job, or if it's, I got nothing to work with, and he's pretty much, he's signing on the dotted lines to be fired in just a little bit because of the cap space and the roster and the quarterback, and it's a mess over there, but you got to take your chances when you get them because there's only so many of those jobs. I think he is a life, sort of like Vic Fangio. I think Vic Fangio, while he did have a shot in Denver and whatnot, he's a lifer as a good defensive coordinator. He can last a long time in this league due to a sound, stable defense. I think Kellen Moore can last a long time as an NFL offensive coordinator, and that's what he is. He's a strong, sound, efficient coordinator. Is it mind-blowing? No. Is it wow? No. But there's truth to the foundation of it. That's how I see Kellen Moore. But yeah, you're right. There are times that I look at some of these regular season woes, not scoring on the scripted plays, going 3 and out, 3 drives in a row, and you were confused. But then again, I saw once he started opening up that playbook a little bit, we saw jet sweeps to Dallas Goedert, and we said, whoa, I've never seen that before. So maybe he was saving some of his good stuff for when the postseason hit, which I laughed at all year long whenever I took calls saying he's just holding on to the good plays and maybe they're just waiting for the right time and they want to wait for the magic to be important. And I said, shut up. It's week 7. It's a big game. They were 2-2 after 4 weeks. We got to show some sort of, jump. We got to show some sort of legitimacy here. They're not holding on to it. Then I see a jet sweep to Goddard in the playoffs and go, maybe they were holding on to it. 215-592-9494. That's the phone number. I want to know if you like the Kevin Patullo hire. And if you don't, that's okay. Tell me why you're not a big fan of it. If you like it, that's okay. Tell me why you like it. It's a weird one. I like it more than I don't like it. But it comes with some risks, and I'm willing to talk about those risks. 215-592-9494. Now is a great time to climb in. Coming up next, I do have a conspiracy theory about Jalen Hurts and his most recent comments about Kevin Patullo. I will share that with you. It's Brodes and you on 94 WIP. I do have a conspiracy theory, though. So what I want you all to do is take a listen to Jalen Hurts. This was during locker cleanout day when he was asked about Kevin Patullo potentially becoming the new OC.
Yeah. Kevin Patullo's never been he'd have a different role. So it's hard to compare, that role to this role because his job is going to demand something totally different of him. And I have a lot of confidence in him and what he's shown. However, I know, over the years I've learned that's out of my jurisdiction. And so kind of just taking things as they come and trying to go out there and be the best I can be and just learn and evolve.
All right, so he obviously is very methodical when he talks. He doesn't do anything by accident. He has a very unique mindset. So when he originally opened his mouth there and started saying he doesn't call plays and he never has called plays, a different role, I think he's sending a message. Now, what this reminds me of, if you remember, when the season was getting started and Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts had that reported beef and we were trying to figure out exactly what Nick Sirianni's role was going to be, this was Jalen Hurts answering questions about Nick Sirianni.
What have you noticed about, Nick being open-minded to change up the offense like he has? I mean, what does that say about him?
I mean, it's a great question. I don't know that I know the answer to it.
Well, what have you seen? What have you seen from him as far as doing that?
I think he's just, he's been great and, the messages he's delivering to the team. He's trying to be very intentional in what he's saying. And yeah.
All right, here's my conspiracy. This is Jalen Hurts motivating his coaches. I think he publicly says certain things that we feel is a little odd and a little strange. But that's him calling out Nick to make Nick be the best version of Nick. Now, I'm not telling you I would take that route, but I truly think he's trying to inspire Nick to be the best coach he can be by almost publicly doubting him to push him. That's the path that Jalen takes. And then you fast forward to these most recent comments about Kevin Patullo to do role. He hasn't done this role. Is that him motivating Kevin Patullo to be the best version of an OC he can be, to actually prove Jalen wrong? Is he lighting a fire? Is he throwing gasoline on the fire to try and piss them off to see if there's a burn? Jalen is wired weird. That's what I think is truly happening here. I think this is his tactic as a leader to try and get the most out of a Kevin Patullo, to try and get the most out of a Nick Sirianni, who was trying to reestablish himself as a coach, a CEO. What's he going to be doing? Here's the quarterback saying, I got no clue. He's trying to be intentional in what he says, or whatever the hell Jalen mentioned there. What? Doesn't seem like a ringing endorsement from your QB. He had to have known that Kevin Patullo was going to be hired. At the time of locker cleanout day, trust me, with the timing of the news that he was announced as OC, Jalen had to have known. He probably talked to Howie and Nick and Lori behind the scenes, because I'm sure they brought him in to tell them what the idea was in the future here. So I'm starting to believe this is a Jalen Hurts method to get the most out of everybody around him. He pisses them off. And I don't want to say pissing him off as if it's some evil thing, but I think he tries to motivate through that. I think he tries to inspire through public remarks, because he's very, very intelligent. And it's very calculated. Everything that comes out of his mouth is thought about prior. And what does this mean if I say this? How will it be consumed if I say it this way? So when he makes these remarks, I think there's a plan with it.